Picture this, it's the mid-1800s and you've been diagnosed with cholera, which the doctor tells you is a deadly and incurable disease. See, the doctor believes in the idea that this disease is caused by breathing bad air, and doesn't believe in the silly new germ theory that says that these diseases are caused by tiny invisible creatures. Everybody in the medical community knows that these theories are simple-minded. Unfortunately, this is exactly what most doctors used to think, and refusing to investigate the new idea that these diseases could be caused by germs cost them hundreds of lives. Little did they know that this idea they thought was foolish would lead to by far the largest breakthrough in medical history to this day. And I believe we are now at the edge of making another breakthrough of this magnitude today. Except this time, instead of discovering bacteria as the cause of sickness, we'll discover the impact of lifestyle and nutrition's effects on chronic illnesses, including autism. So in this video, we'll be exploring the hidden cause of autism, the 3 most common triggers of it, and the simple methods to reduce autism symptoms or perhaps even reverse autism. This is information you will genuinely not hear anywhere else, so make sure to watch until the end to get all of these powerful strategies. First of all, autism is not solely genetic. That's just what we believed 20 years ago. But now research shows us that while genetics definitely determines if someone is susceptible to getting autism in the presence of inflammation, there are things outside of genes like nutrient levels and diet that influence how severe the autism is. This is likely because of something called epigenetics, which describes how genes are activated or deactivated depending on its environment. This means that external influences like stress, toxicity, nutrition, or inflammation can affect how these genes linked to autism behave. You may still be thinking to yourself, autism is solely genetic and there's nothing you can do about it, but be honest with yourself. Do you really think that the autistic person that eats right, goes to the gym, and fixes their nutrient deficiencies will be as bad off as someone who does none of that, eats terrible, and does nothing for health? Obviously not. And the person who still thinks autism is 100% uncurable, you need to realize they thought the exact same thing about seizures, strokes, and literally every single other disease before they found the cure. I'm not saying autism is 100% curable 100% of the time, at least yet. But there is significant progress that we can make by making these changes I'll show you later in the video. In fact, there's a case study of 2 twin girls who had autism, and on a scale of 180 being the most autistic, one twin got a 43 and the other got a 76. After only 1.5 years of going on a normal, healthy, gluten, dairy, and dye-free diet, the twins reduced their scores to 4 and 32, respectively. Is it not absolutely insane that people still push that it's incurable? Doesn't this make you wonder if there are things that can still be done to make it go away completely? In this video, we'll cover the strategies to potentially reduce autism significantly or even reverse it. I'm not a doctor, and this should not be misconstrued as medical advice. Everyone is different and thus should have treatments tailored specifically to them by a medical professional. With that said, let's get into it. So, because mitochondrial problems are observed in many autistic individuals, some doctors now believe that autism is caused by a disorder in the mitochondria, a part of almost every cell that produces all the energy we use. These findings are revolutionary and bring us closer to the root cause of autism, but it misses the mark a bit because mitochondrial dysfunction only appears in a portion of individuals diagnosed with autism. This suggests that mitochondrial issues might not be the primary cause of autism, but what if these mitochondrial challenges are merely a clue pointing to a broader issue? That's why I believe oxidative stress, which is basically a fancy way of saying inflammation, when mixed with the right genetics, causes autism. And later, I'll show my simple methods of reversing this oxidation. See, this overlap of autism and mitochondrial disorders makes sense when you realize that oxidative stress can cause disorders and damage in the mitochondria, and that mitochondria damaged by oxidative stress then make more oxidative stress, causing a vicious cycle. To support my theory, studies show that mitochondria in individuals with autism often produce more oxidative stress that can damage cellular structures and impair normal cell function than average people. In addition, research also shows both increased levels of oxidants and simultaneously reduced levels of antioxidants in people with autism. This makes sense if we understand that these individuals have a ton of oxidative stress and have used up much of their antioxidant stores fighting the oxidation. See, people with autism often show low levels of SAMe, superoxide dismutase, or SOD, glutathione, vitamin C and E, and N-acetylcysteine, all of which are antioxidants. And we also see individuals with autism tend to have low levels of many other vitamins and minerals, which makes sense when you understand that many of these nutrients either are antioxidants or can be used by the body to make antioxidants. But this begs the question, how exactly does oxidative stress cause people to have communication problems and be so sensitive to stimuli and so on? Well, oxidative stress has actually been shown to damage the brain in profound ways by impairing cellular signaling, harming neural pathways, and interfering with developmental processes. This can have symptoms such as sensory processing difficulties, communication and social impairments, and repetitive behaviors. These symptoms of oxidative stress on the brain are literally the exact same as autism's. Also, autistic people are more likely to develop many diseases and other seemingly unrelated problems that have been linked to oxidative stress. For example, people with autism are much more likely to have seizures, Alzheimer's, and dementia than the general population, and they're all linked to oxidative stress. So, what causes so much oxidative stress? Here are the three main causes. By far, one of the most common reasons for high oxidative stress in people with autism is low levels of something called methylation. This one is a tough one to understand, but bear with me and it could change your life forever, and I promise the next two are much more simple. Methylation is a natural process that involves attaching a chemical tag called a methyl group to enzymes, genes, or neurotransmitters in the body. This methyl group changes the function of whatever it attaches to. For example, methylation converts histamine, which is responsible for allergic reactions, into N-methylhistamine. When this methylation process is able to occur, the potential allergic reaction is stopped because the histamine has been changed and is no longer a threat. This is very important in autism because research shows that 98% of individuals with autism are undermethylators, meaning that they don't make enough methylation. And guess what? Methylation plays a crucial role in supporting the production and regulation of antioxidants like SAMe and glutathione, which neutralize free radicals and help combat oxidative stress. Without proper methylation, the body cannot produce enough antioxidants. This allows free radicals or oxidative stress to accumulate, damaging cells and impairing mitochondrial function, further compounding oxidative stress. On a side note, methylation is also needed to make many neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which might contribute somewhat to behavioral and mental differences seen in autism. Okay, so to boost methylation, B9, methylated B12, B6, B2, and zinc are very important all together, because an imbalance in any one of these can mess up the whole methylation process. However, it must be done under the supervision of a healthcare provider because each person is unique. And if you supplement with something when you already have high levels, after a couple of months it can cause imbalances and lead to depression and other similar symptoms. Additionally, zinc can also cause symptoms which should be monitored by a healthcare professional, because zinc can rid the body of toxic copper, which is generally good considering that people with autism are more likely to have toxic copper. However, taking zinc and feeling bad can also be an indicator of other issues not related to it. A safer route would be supplementing creatine because 70% of methylation is dedicated to making creatine. So by filling the body's need for creatine externally, the body now has an extra 70% of methylation it can use to make antioxidants and heal. The oxidative stress that may cause autism can also be caused by mold exposure. Mold produces compounds like mycotoxins that significantly worsen oxidative stress. I cannot stress this enough, mold is very, very dangerous. And you may be thinking that you definitely don't have mold, but please check, because a 2-year-old house, just 2 years old, with no flooding, developed enough mold that it was growing in the AC to give me rheumatoid arthritis, CRMO, which is a 1 in 6 million disease in men, and a ton of other diseases too. Levels of mold can be tested at home and work, and if any is found, it must be remediated. If this isn't possible, a negative ion generator can help get the mold out of the air and cause it to stick to the floor, where it isn't inhaled. After cleaning the mold exposure, balancing mineral levels, and taking a binder like GI Detox or Mycopol with ingredients like charcoal, zeolite clay, or humic acid can help clear the mold from the body. And before we move on, you might want to subscribe so that you get more useful information on many different health problems like this video you're watching right now. So the next one is gut health. An unhealthy gut microbiome can lead to increased oxidative stress, poor nutrient absorption, and disrupted neurotransmitters. In fact, about half of people with autism have gastrointestinal problems, although I don't know whether this is caused by poor gut health or by the oxidative stress and inflammation, or a mix of both. Although it is interesting to note that the severity of GI problems has been shown to correlate with the severity of the autism, meaning that people with higher GI problems have higher autism. One study showed that autism reduced by an average of 47% 2 years after a fecal transplant, which was used to help restore and balance gut microbiome. Also, another study on a set of triplets, one of which had autism, found that the one with autism had less microbiome diversity than the other two, specifically having lower levels of bifidobacteria and prevotella levels. So to help gut health, we can use probiotics like seed, eating fiber-rich foods, and fermented foods if they can be tolerated. Some other things that can cause oxidative stress and are linked to autism are heavy metals, which can be treated in the same manner as mold, and nutrient deficiencies, which I strongly recommend anyone with autism to take a hair mineral analysis test by trace elements to test their mineral levels and heavy metal levels. Finally, it's best to limit anything that obviously increases oxidative stress, like air pollution, processed inorganic GMO foods, high carbohydrates, sugar, plastics, and so on. Basically, just make sure to live a healthy life with good sleep and low stress. And please, absolutely do not continue eating the disgusting slop known as the American diet. These interventions mentioned earlier are almost useless if you're not going to stop eating this garbage. Remember the case study at the beginning of this video with the twins. Diet was likely the most important treatment they used, in my opinion, aside from supplements like omega-3. You need to go dairy, gluten, dye, sugar, and processed food free, and go all organic if you want results. It sounds like a lot, but God's got you. Also, make sure to subscribe because I'll make a video covering what these girls did to get such great results so that you can learn from them. Some supporting supplements and foods for fighting the oxidative stress linked to autism are things like antioxidant-rich herbs and supplements like turmeric green tea extract and N-acetylcysteine as a precursor to glutathione. However, make no mistake, these are no substitute for getting to the root of the problem and ripping it out. Don't think you can simply take some herbs and it will all be fine. You need to take the steps to find the root of the problem for your specific scenario. And like I said earlier, autistic people often have low nutrient levels, including vitamin D, which can help fight the oxidative stress causing autism. So if you have low vitamin D, even if you're getting sun, click the video on the screen where I show the not well-known reasons that cause this.